The day before I was set to study abroad, I went to say goodbye to my aloof childhood best friend. His face remained entirely expressionless. He merely asked which university I was attending, then turned to leave. I pressed my lips together and eventually hid the confession gift I had prepared behind my back. Suddenly, lines of text began to float in the air right in front of me, like a live stream comment section. Female lead, hurry up and confess. He's absolutely crazy about you. He's playing so hard to get. Pretending to be all cold and indifferent to her face, but secretly crying his eyes out at home all night. Wait, wasn't it because the female lead was leaving him that the male lead snapped, followed her abroad, and then locked her up in a basement? OMG, are we jumping straight from pure romance to forced confinement? Startled by the floating text, I instinctively called out his name. Ethan. Wait a second. The figure walking away stopped. He slowly turned around and asked, "Is there something else?" He looked completely indifferent. On the continuously scrolling text above him, the word confess kept appearing, making me dizzy. With a sudden burst of courage, I brought the gift hidden behind my back out to him. "Ethan, I like you. I have for a long time." Ethan's expression froze, and the scrolling text halted as well. "Your birthday was a few days ago, and I had this gift picked out ages ago," but my smile was tinged with bitterness. "If I don't give it to you now, I might never get another chance." Ethan's face was hidden in the shadows, his expression unreadable. I lowered my head, staring at the ground, feeling a burning heat spread across my ears. On the ground, as if thought, the comments started scrolling frantically again. Wait, did my internet lag? Did I miss a crucial plot point? Why does the female lead suddenly have a mouth and know how to use it? Just as confused, surprised face. Something's wrong. Something's very wrong. Based on how hard the male lead simps for her, shouldn't he be thrilled? She confessed. He should be announcing he's buying out the whole airport today. But look at his face. To the person above, "Do you remember what happened on Ethan's birthday?" The female lead ran off early with the second male lead. "Oh, I remember." The male lead wanted the female lead to blow out the candles with him, but he couldn't find her. He got so mad. His heart condition almost flared up. His birthday. Reminded by the comments, the memory suddenly clicked into place. That day, I had stuck close to Ethan, chatting and trying to make him smile, but he seemed completely distracted, like something very important was weighing heavily on his mind. I got so mad that I deliberately dragged an upperclassman outside to get some fresh air. By the time I cooled down and went back inside, the private room was completely empty. So he had gone looking for me later. Actually, based on my years of reading web novels, Ethan was probably planning to confess that day. But the main character ran off with some random guy halfway through. The commenter above is right. I saw Ethan secretly blowing up heart-shaped balloons. He blew up 20 of them all by himself, and stuffed a ring inside every single one. Tisk, so pure and innocent rings. I snapped my head up looking at Ethan. He was staring at me expressionlessly. After a long time, he let out a mocking chuckle. "You like me? How do you plan to prove it?" "Who?" "Chloe. How exactly do you plan to prove that you like me?" All my previous soft-heartedness and affection vanished into thin air at his cold interrogation. I took a sharp breath and glared furiously at Ethan. He looked back at me with complete indifference. If you were looking at a complete stranger who had nothing to do with him. Oh no, our precious Chloe is going to run away angry again. "Ethan, you have a perfectly good mouth. Why can't you just use it to talk properly? Go home and cry about it later." All right, everyone. Nothing to see here. The plot is returning to its original track. Imprisonment and forced love. Just as I was about to turn around in anger, seeing the comments predict my exact move actually made me feel too embarrassed to leave. My gaze returned to Ethan's face. It was an incredibly pale and beautiful face. He had narrow, elegant eyes with an upward tilt at the corners, giving him a somewhat classical look. I don't know if it was the comments influencing me, but I genuinely thought I saw a faint hint of red around the beautiful corners of his eyes. I sighed, took 2 steps forward, and tilted my head up. At this moment, the distance between us was incredibly close. So close I could almost feel his breath. He lowered his eyes, looking at me in confusion, his pure black pupils reflecting my figure. I cheered myself on frantically in my head, then and suddenly leaned in and pressed my lips against his cool, soft and slightly trembling. That was the immediate sensation Ethan's lips gave me. To be honest, in all my years of life, I had absolutely zero kissing experience. I only knew to press my lips against his. I had no idea what came next. I froze against his lips, feeling the deafening heartbeat of the person in my arms. There was no sound of breathing. He had forgotten to breathe, too. I don't know how much time passed before he suddenly took a step back, staring at me with an unreadable expression. What is the meaning of this? His entire face was bright red. He was already very fair-skinned, so he flushed easier than most. Even the back of his neck visible above his collar held a faint pink hue. My mood instantly soared. I grinned at him and said, "Didn't you want me to prove I like you? Is this enough, or how about this?" Deeply encouraged, I stepped forward again, cupped his face, and planted a loud wet kiss right on his lips. "If you still don't believe me, I'll tear up my plane ticket right now." "Okay." I wrapped my arms around Ethan's neck and said softly, "I'll just stay by your side. I'll go wherever you go until you believe me." Before I even finished speaking, Ethan violently ripped my arms from his neck and glared at me furiously. "Chloe, are you done messing around?" He pushed me so hard I stumbled violently, barely managing to steady myself. I looked at him in absolute shock, not understanding why the mood had taken such a sudden sharp nosedive. "Keep pushing it. Keep acting up. Male lead. This is exactly how you lose your wife." Chloe finally gathered the courage to confess. "This is what he does." The comments echoed exactly what I was feeling. I gritted my teeth tightly, refusing to let the humiliating tears fall. He remained completely oblivious, his voice still icy as he said, "Chloe, do you really like Alex that much? Do you like him so much that you'd stoop to pretending with me, just so you could stay here and be with him?" I looked up at him in utter bewilderment. Tears lost their battle for control and fell anyway. "Huh, bro? Ethan?" That one sentence just completely derailed me. Wait, does he think Chloe is confessing to him so she can stay in the country and sneak around with the second male lead? And then what? Ethan demanded coldly. "You'd stay here, date me, and still be with Alex on the side. And later, are you planning to marry me while cheating on me with Alex? Chloe, do you have any basic moral compass at all? You truly disappoint me." The angrier he got, the more the ambiguous pink flush on his face faded without a trace. What an advanced train of thought. I don't even know how to judge this, everyone. Does anyone remember that after his birthday, Chloe's parents decided to send her abroad because they wanted her to have better educational opportunities? Ethan tried everything to stop them. He begged them to let her stay. He even offered to pay for her tuition here. But they wouldn't listen. They said she needed to broaden her horizons. So it makes sense he's thinking this way. He's so desperate to keep her here. He's imagining the worst possible scenarios. I scanned the words on the comments, finally realizing that my parents throwing me out of the country had nothing to do with Ethan. He had actually tried to stop them. The fury of being rejected, the sting of his accusations, old grudges and new anger, merged into a sea of fire that rushed straight to my head. And I instantly lost all rationality. Believe whatever you want. Who wants to like a despicable coward like you? Anyway, you think I can't live without you? I fiercely threw the ungrateful present onto the ground, turned around and marched away. Sigh, it's over again. And so the story will inevitably head toward the imprisonment arc we've all been anticipating. Wait, what is he doing? What is Ethan doing? Chloe, turn around quickly. Daughter, turn around. Of course. I didn't turn around, nor did I pay attention to the scrolling comments, because my face was completely covered in tears at that moment. Liar. They're all liars. Who said Ethan liked me? Would someone who liked me yell at me like that? Would he question me like that? I bet he doesn't like me one bit. Getting my parents to send me abroad was probably just so he could get rid of me. Once and for all. I wiped the tears from my face aggressively and walked into the security checkpoint. Why is bro Ethan still crouching there? Did Chloe's gift break when she threw it? It looked like it was made of glass. Those comments wanted me to see that. He was picking up the gift I threw. I pondered this internally, still not turning around, dragging my coat toward the boarding gate. Something's wrong, bro. Ethan is having a heart attack. The comment flashed across my vision like a warning siren, but I kept walking, my feet moving on autopilot toward the boarding gate. The tears had blurred my vision so badly I could barely see the signs, but I didn't care. Let him have a heart attack. Let him suffer. After everything he'd done to me, after all the manipulation and the way he'd just rejected me so cruelly, why should I care? Wait, is he actually on the ground? Bro, he's not moving. This isn't a joke anymore. Someone call an ambulance. Chloe, turn around. Turn around. The comments were scrolling faster and faster, their words turning red and urgent, but I refused to look back. I had made up my mind. I was done with Ethan, done with his games, done with being the fool who kept coming back for more. My parents were right to send me away. Maybe a fresh start was exactly what I needed. Flight 204 to London now boarding at Gate 12. The announcement echoed through the terminal, mechanical, and distant. That was my flight. My escape. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone, intending to turn it off and leave everything behind. But as my thumb hovered over the power button, it started vibrating frantically. Multiple calls. From my mother. From my father. From numbers I didn't recognize. I ignored them all. I was done. The line at security was short, and soon I was standing at the metal detector, placing my bag on the conveyor belt. The airport staff member gave me a sympathetic look as she scanned my tear-stained face. Rough day, she asked softly. You have no idea, I muttered, stepping through the detector. I made it to the gate and found a seat near the window, far from where I could see the main terminal. I curled up in the plastic chair, hugging my knees to my chest, and finally let myself break down completely. The sobs that had been threatening to escape all day finally tore through me, raw and ragged. I cried for the years I'd wasted loving someone who didn't love me back. I cried for the birthday I'd ruined, for the gift I'd thrown away, for the confession that had gone so terribly wrong. I cried for the version of myself that had believed, even for a moment, that Ethan might actually care. The comments had stopped scrolling. The air above me was empty, just normal air, no floating text predicting my future or commenting on my life. Maybe they'd given up on me too. Maybe they realized this wasn't a romance anymore. This was just a tragedy. Flight 204 to London, final boarding call. The announcement came through the speakers, and I stood up on shaky legs, grabbing my carry-on bag. This was it. The moment of no return. I handed my boarding pass to the gate agent, who scanned it with a professional smile. Have a nice flight, Miss Chen. Thank you, I whispered, my voice barely audible. I walked down the jet bridge, the sound of my footsteps echoing in the enclosed space. With each step, I felt a piece of my heart breaking off and staying behind. I was leaving everything I knew, everything I loved, everything that had ever mattered to me. But I had to. There was nothing left for me here. I found my seat and stowed my bag, sinking into the small airplane seat and buckling my seatbelt. The plane was mostly full, passengers chatting and settling in, going about their normal lives while mine was falling apart. I looked out the small window at the tarmac, watching the ground crew work, the baggage carts moving, the other planes taxiing. Somewhere out there, in that massive airport, Ethan was probably still on the ground, maybe dying, maybe not. And I didn't care. I really didn't care. The flight attendants began their safety demonstration, their voices calm and practiced. I tuned them out, staring blankly at the sea back in front of me. My phone buzzed again in my pocket, and I almost pulled it out to turn it off completely, but something stopped me. What if it was important? What if my parents were trying to reach me? I hesitated for a moment, then pulled it out. The screen was filled with notifications. Dozens of missed calls. Hundreds of text messages. All from the same people. My mother, Chloe, answer your phone. My father, it's an emergency, please call us back. A number I didn't recognize. This is Dr. Reynolds at City General Hospital. We need to reach you urgently regarding Ethan Miller. My heart stopped. Ethan. Hospital. I stared at the message, my fingers trembling. The comments had been right. He was actually in the hospital. But why should I care? Why should I even consider calling them back? He had made it perfectly clear what he thought of me. He had accused me of being immoral, of using him, of planning to cheat on him. He had pushed me away so hard I'd almost fallen. He didn't deserve my concern. Ladies and gentlemen, please turn off all electronic devices or switch to airplane mode. We are preparing for departure. The announcement echoed through the cabin, and I felt a finality in it. This was it. I was leaving. I turned off my phone and shoved it back into my pocket, ignoring the notifications. I was done. I was leaving all of this behind. The plane pushed back from the gate, the engines roared to life, and I felt the familiar vibration of takeoff beginning. I was already on the plane. I was already leaving. Normal people living normal lives. I sat frozen in my seat, my phone clutched in my hand, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. What had I done? I had just walked away. I had left him there on the ground, possibly dying, and I hadn't even looked back. But he had deserved it, hadn't he? He had been so cruel, so accusatory. He had made assumptions about me, about my character, about my intentions. He had treated me like I was some kind of monster. But the comments. The comments had been trying to tell me something. They had been screaming at me to turn around, to see what was happening. They had known that he was having a heart attack, that he was collapsing, that he was in trouble. And I had ignored them all. Suddenly, the air above my head began to shimmer again, and lines of text started scrolling, faster and more urgent than ever before. She knows now. She finally knows. Oh God, this is so painful. I can't watch this anymore. Why are romance stories always so full of misunderstandings? He literally almost died trying to pick up her gift. He was holding it when his heart gave out. He refused to let the paramedics take it from him. He made them promise to give it to her. And she's on a plane flying away. This is actual torture. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to block out the words, but they kept coming, relentless and heartbreaking. Does she know what was in the box? Does she know what the gift was? He spent months working on it. He learned glass blowing just to make it for her. He burned his hands multiple times. But he kept going because he wanted it to be perfect. And she threw it on the ground. She literally threw his heart on the ground. I opened my eyes and stared at the scrolling text, my chest aching with a pain so sharp I could barely breathe. Glass blowing? He had learned glass blowing? For me? Wait, I need to see what's in the box. I'm accessing the system's visual feed. Oh my God. Oh my actual God. You guys need to see this. The comments suddenly stopped scrolling and instead, a holographic image began to form in the air above my seat. It was crystal clear, three-dimensional, showing the small glass box I had thrown. The image rotated slowly, showing the broken glass from every angle. And then, somehow, the image shifted, peeling back the layers of glass to reveal what was inside. My breath caught in my throat. Inside the broken glass, nestled in protective padding, was a small, delicate glass heart. And inside the heart, suspended in crystal-clear glass, was something tiny and glittering. A ring. Not just any ring. A ring I recognized. It was my grandmother's ring, the one she had given me on her deathbed, the one I had lost years ago in a move. I had cried for weeks when I couldn't find it. It was the only thing I had left of her. And Ethan had found it. He had somehow found it, and he had spent months learning to blow glass just to create this perfect, beautiful heart to hold it, to give it back to me. The comments were scrolling again, faster than ever. He found it in a pawn shop. He went to every pawn shop in the city for months. He spent thousands of dollars buying it back. It turns out that when you moved years ago, One of the movers stole it and sold it. Ethan tracked it down through the pawn shop's records. He spent months searching, going to every shop in the city. And then he spent months learning to make the glass heart. He wanted to give it to you on his birthday. He wanted it to be perfect. He was going to propose. He was going to ask you to marry him. I was sobbing now, quietly but uncontrollably, my body shaking with the force of it. The other passengers were starting to stare, but I didn't care. I couldn't care. He had been going to propose. On his birthday. The day I had ruined by running off with Alex. The day he had spent preparing, with his heart-shaped balloons and his rings, waiting for me to blow out candles with him. And I had ruined it. I had ruined everything. The comments kept coming, relentless and heartbreaking. He never told anyone. He didn't want to pressure you. He wanted you to have a choice. He was going to let you decide if you wanted to study abroad. He wasn't going to stop you. He just wanted to give you the ring before you left. So you'd know he was waiting for you. So you'd know he'd always be waiting for you. But then you ran off with Alex. And he thought you didn't care. He thought you didn't love him. And when you finally confessed, he was so happy. For a moment, he was so incredibly happy. But then his insecurities took over. He remembered the birthday. He remembered how you'd left. And he convinced himself it wasn't real. That you were just using him. That you didn't really love him. He was wrong. He was so wrong. And now he's lying in a hospital bed. And you're on a plane flying away. This is the saddest thing I've ever seen. I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't sit here, thousands of feet in the air, flying away from the person who loved me enough to do all of this. The person who had spent months, maybe years, loving me silently, waiting for the right moment, preparing the perfect gesture. I had to go back. I had to see him. I had to tell him. I had to tell him everything. I unbuckled my seatbelt and stood up, my legs shaking so badly I could barely stand. The flight attendant who had checked me in earlier was walking down the aisle, and I grabbed her arm. "I need to get off this plane," I said, my voice desperate. She looked at me in surprise. "I'm sorry, miss, but we've already taken off. You can't get off now." "I have to," I insisted, tears streaming down my face. "Please, you don't understand. I have to go back. Someone I love is in the hospital. He might die. I have to see him." Her expression softened with sympathy. "I'm so sorry, but that's not possible. We're already in the air. The fastest we could turn around is when we reach our destination. But even then, it would take hours. Hours. By then, anything could happen. He could go into surgery. He could. I sank back into my seat, defeated. The comments were scrolling again, slower now, almost gentle. "It's okay, Chloe. You'll make it back in time. He's strong. He's going to be okay. He has to be. Because you're going to go back to him. You're going to tell him the truth. You're going to tell him you love him. And you're going to live happily ever after. Because that's how these stories are supposed to end. Right?" I stared at the words, hope warring with despair in my chest. Could I really make it back in time? Could I really fix this? Or was it too late? The hours passed in a blur of tears and anxiety. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't do anything but stare out the window at the endless darkness and worry. The comments kept me company, scrolling gently with encouraging words and updates. "He's out of surgery. It went well. He's in recovery. He's asking for you. He keeps asking if you've called. He doesn't know you were on the plane. He thinks you just didn't want to talk to him. He thinks you hate him." By the time the plane finally began its descent into London, I was exhausted but determined. I was going to get back to him. I was going to fix this. No matter what it took. As soon as the plane landed, I was up and grabbing my bag, pushing my way to the front of the aisle. I was the first one off the plane, running through the terminal, ignoring the confused looks from other passengers. I found a quiet corner and turned on my phone. It immediately began buzzing with notifications. Dozens of missed calls. Hundreds of text messages. All from the same people. My mother, "Chloe, answer your phone." My father, "It's an emergency, please call us back." A number I didn't recognize. "This is Dr. Reynolds at City General Hospital. We need to reach you urgently regarding Ethan Miller." My heart stopped. Ethan. Hospital. I stared at the messages, my fingers trembling. The comments had been right. He was actually in the hospital. But why should I care? Why should I even consider calling them back? He had made it perfectly clear what he thought of me. He had accused me of being immoral, of using him, of planning to cheat on him. He had pushed me away so hard I'd almost fallen. He didn't deserve my concern. But then I saw the voicemail notification. One new voicemail from City General Hospital. My fingers were shaking as I dialed my voicemail. Miss Chin, this is Dr. Reynolds from City General Hospital. We've been trying to reach you for hours. Mr. Miller was brought in about 2 hours ago in severe cardiac distress. He collapsed at the airport. Witnesses said he was holding something in his hands when he went down. He's stable now, but he had a serious arrhythmia that required immediate intervention. He's going to be fine, but he's been asking for you. He gave us something to give to you if we couldn't reach you in time. He said you'd understand what it meant. It's a small glass box. It appears to be broken. But inside, there's a letter and something else. He said to tell you that he's sorry. That he was wrong. That he should have known better. He also said that he loves you. That he's always loved you. And that he understands if you never want to see him again. Please call us back as soon as you get this message. I stood there in the middle of the London airport, tears streaming down my face, my phone clutched in my hand. Cardiac distress. He had collapsed. He had been holding my gift. And he had left me a message. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. All I could do was stare at my phone at the voicemail that had just changed everything. I found the airline counter and slammed my hands down on the desk. I need the next flight back. Any flight. I don't care how much it costs. I need to go back now. The agent looked at me in surprise. Back to where, miss? Back home. To the city. Any flight that goes there. Please. She typed something into her computer, then looked up at me sympathetically. The next flight isn't for 6 hours, and it's fully booked. I could put you on standby, but I can't guarantee you'll get a seat. 6 hours. I couldn't wait 6 hours. Every minute that passed was another minute Ethan was lying in that hospital bed, thinking I hated him, thinking I didn't care. Is there any other way? I asked desperately. Any other airport? Any other airline? I'll pay anything. I'll do anything. She hesitated, then typed something else. There's a flight from a nearby airport in 2 hours, but it's expensive and you'd have to get there quickly. And there's no guarantee of a seat. I'll take it, I said immediately. Book it. Whatever the cost. As she processed my ticket, I pulled out my phone and called my parents. They picked up on the first ring. Chloe, my mother's voice was filled with relief and worry. Oh, thank God, you're okay. We've been so worried. Where are you? Are you in London? I'm in London, I said, my voice shaking. But I'm coming back. I'm booking a flight right now. What? Why, my father asked. What happened? Did something go wrong? I can't explain right now, I said, tears welling up again. I have to come back. Ethan is in the hospital. He had a heart attack. I have to see him. There was a moment of silence on the other end. Then my mother spoke, her voice soft. Oh, Chloe. We heard. We've been to see him. He's been asking for you. I know, I choked out. I'm coming back. I'm going to see him. We'll pick you up at the airport, my father said firmly. Whatever flight you get, we'll be there. Thank you, I whispered. Thank you so much. I got my ticket and ran out of the terminal, hailing a taxi to the other airport. The ride was tense and silent, the driver occasionally glancing at me in the rearview mirror as I stared out the window, my heart pounding. I made it to the airport with minutes to spare, running through security and to the gate just as they were starting to board. I got the last seat on the plane, squeezed into a middle seat between two large men, but I didn't care. I was going back. The flight back felt longer than the flight there, even though it was shorter. Every minute was torture. The comments kept scrolling, keeping me updated. He's awake. He's asking about you again. He's so sad, Chloe. He thinks you're gone for good. He thinks you left because of what he said. He doesn't know about the heart attack. He doesn't know you almost came back. He just thinks you left him. By the time the plane landed, I was a nervous wreck. I grabbed my bag and ran off the plane, scanning the arrivals hall desperately. I spotted my parents immediately, my mother crying and my father looking grim. "Chloe," my mother pulled me into a tight hug. "Oh, thank God you're back. Is he okay?" I asked, pulling away. "Is Ethan okay?" "He's stable," my father said, putting a hand on my shoulder. "He had a severe cardiac arrhythmia and had to undergo emergency cardiac catheterization. He's in the cardiac care unit. He's awake, but very weak. The doctor says he should make a full recovery." "Can I see him?" I asked desperately. "We'll take you there right now," my mother said. The car ride to the hospital was the longest of my life. I sat in the back seat, my hands clasped together so tightly my knuckles were white, staring out the window as the city passed by. The hospital was quiet when we arrived, the halls dim and empty. My parents led me to the cardiac care unit, where a nurse stopped us at the door. "Are you family?" she asked gently. I'm his friend," I said. "Chloe Chin." Her eyes widened with recognition. "Oh, Mr. Miller has been asking for you. He's awake now, but he's very weak. He's on oxygen and can only speak a few words at a time. You can go in, but please keep it brief." I nodded, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. I walked through the door, into the quiet, beeping room, and there he was. Ethan. He was lying in the hospital bed, pale and still, connected to monitors and 4 lines. An oxygen mask covered his nose and mouth, and his chest rose and fell with shallow breaths. But his eyes were open, and when he saw me, they widened with shock. "Chloe," he whispered, his voice barely audible through the mask, raspy and weak. I walked to his bedside, tears streaming down my face. I'm here, Ethan." He stared at me, his expression confused and hopeful and scared all at once. You came back?" "I never should have left," I said, reaching out to take his hand. "I'm so sorry, Ethan. I'm so sorry for everything." He squeezed my hand weakly, his eyes filling with tears. "No, I'm sorry. I was wrong. So wrong about you. Should have trusted you." "I know," I said softly. "I know you were scared. I know you thought I didn't care. But I do care, Ethan. I care so much." He took a shallow breath, his eyes never leaving mine. "Love you. Always have. Was going to tell you on my birthday. Going to propose." "I know," I cried. "The comments, they showed me. They showed me the glass heart, the ring. I know everything now." He looked at me in surprise. "Comments? What comments?" "The floating text," I explained. "I've been seeing these comments floating in the air. They're like a live stream of my life. They've been following me around, telling me what's happening, predicting things. They showed me the glass heart on the plane. They're the reason I came back." He stared at me for a long moment, then his expression softened with understanding. He tried to speak more, but started coughing, and the nurse immediately stepped forward. "Mr. Miller, please, you need to rest," she said gently. "You can't talk too much right now." Ethan looked at me, his eyes filled with so many things he couldn't say. He squeezed my hand again, his gaze intense and meaningful. "I understand," I whispered, tears streaming down my face. "You don't have to say anything. I know what you're thinking. You were scared. You were jealous. You thought I didn't love you. But I do, Ethan. I've always loved you." He nodded weakly, his eyes never leaving mine. "Stay," he whispered, the word barely audible. "Please stay. I'm not going anywhere, I promised. I'm staying right here. With you." The nurse came back in, checking his monitors and giving us a warning look. "I'm sorry, Miss Chin, but Mr. Miller really needs to rest now. You can come back tomorrow." "I'll be back," I promised, squeezing his hand one last time. "First thing in the morning." He squeezed back, his eyes filled with love and relief. "Waiting," he whispered. I walked out of the hospital with my parents, feeling lighter than I had in years. The comments were scrolling above my head, happy and celebratory. "She did it. She actually did it. She came back. They're going to be okay. Everything is going to be okay. This is the best ending ever." My mother hugged me as we walked to the car. I'm so proud of you, Chloe. For coming back. For following your heart. I almost didn't, I admitted. I almost stayed on that plane. But you didn't, my father said. And that's what matters. The next few weeks were a blur of hospital visits, doctor appointments, and long conversations with Ethan. He recovered slowly but steadily, gaining strength with each passing day. We spent hours talking, really talking, about everything that had happened between us, all the misunderstandings, all the unspoken feelings. He told me about finding my grandmother's ring in a pawn shop, about spending months searching every pawn shop in the city. He told me about learning to blow glass, about burning his hands multiple times, about starting over and over until it was perfect. He told me about the heart-shaped balloons, the rings inside each one, the proposal he had planned for his birthday. I told him about the comments, about seeing them float in the air, about how they had guided me, confused me, and ultimately brought me back to him. He listened intently, his expression full of wonder and understanding. You really see them? He asked one day, as we sat together in his hospital room, his strength finally returning. Floating text that comments on your life? Yes, I said. They've been following me around since the airport. They showed me the glass heart on the plane. They're the reason I came back. He was quiet for a long moment, then he took my hand. I wish I could have seen them too, he said softly. Maybe if I had, I wouldn't have been so blind to what was right in front of me. You weren't blind, I said, squeezing his hand. You were just scared. And you had every right to be after what happened on your birthday. But you're not a coward, Ethan. You're the person who loves me enough to do something as incredible as that glass heart. You're the person who spent months learning to blow glass just to give me back my grandmother's ring. I wanted it to be perfect, he said, his voice stronger now. I wanted you to know how much I love you. How long I've loved you. It is perfect, I said. Everything about it is perfect. And I love you too, Ethan. I've loved you for so long. He stared at me, his eyes filled with wonder and love. You do? Even after everything I said? Even after I accused you of those terrible things. Especially after that, I said. Because I know you were just scared. I know you were just trying to protect yourself. And I forgive you, Ethan. I forgive you for everything. The tears were streaming down his face now, mixing with mine. I don't deserve you, he whispered. I don't deserve any of this. Yes, you do, I said firmly. You deserve to be loved, Ethan. You deserve to know that someone cares about you as much as you care about them. And I do. I care about you more than anything. We stared at each other for a long moment, the connection between us stronger than it had ever been. The comments were scrolling above his head, but I didn't need to read them to know what they were saying. Finally, Ethan spoke again, his voice stronger this time. Stay. Please stay. Don't go back to London. Don't leave me again. I'm not going anywhere, I promised. I'm staying right here. With you. What about your studies? He asked. What about your parents? I'll figure it out, I said. I can transfer to a university here. Or I can take online classes. I don't care. I just want to be with you. He smiled, and it was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. Okay, then stay. Please stay. I will, I said. Forever. The comments continued to follow us, but they were different now. Instead of predicting disasters and misunderstandings, they were full of encouragement and celebration. They commented on our dates, our conversations, our growing relationship. They're so cute together. Look at them holding hands. I've never seen Ethan smile like that. Chloe looks so happy. This is what true love looks like. 6 months after Ethan's heart attack, we were walking on the beach near our childhood home, watching the sunset. The comments were scrolling gently above us, content and peaceful. Ethan stopped walking and turned to face me, taking both of my hands in his. Chloe, he said softly, there's something I need to ask you. The comments suddenly went wild, scrolling faster than ever. Is he going to do it? Is this it? Oh my God, he's going to propose. Finally. It's happening. I stared at him, my heart pounding. What is it, Ethan? He took a deep breath, then got down on one knee in the sand. Chloe Chin, I have loved you for as long as I can remember. I spent years being too scared to tell you, too afraid of losing you. But I'm not scared anymore. I know that we belong together. I know that I want to spend the rest of my life with you. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Inside was a beautiful diamond ring, simple and elegant. Will you marry me? He asked, his eyes filled with love and hope. The comments were going crazy, but I didn't need to read them to know what to say. Yes, I whispered, tears streaming down my face. Yes, Ethan. I will marry you. He slipped the ring onto my finger, then stood up and pulled me into his arms, kissing me deeply. The sun was setting behind us, painting the sky in beautiful shades of pink and orange, and the comments were scrolling above us like fireworks. She said yes. They're getting married. This is the best day ever. I knew they would end up together. True love always wins. I pulled back from the kiss, smiling up at Ethan. I love you, I said softly. I love you too, he replied. Forever. And as we stood there on the beach, wrapped in each other's arms, I knew that the comments were right. True love did always win. And somehow, against all odds, we had found ours. The comments slowly faded away, becoming fainter and fainter until they disappeared completely. And for the first time in months, the air above us was just normal air. No floating text, no predictions, no commentary. Just us. And that was exactly how it was supposed to be. The end.